and welcome to the talkSPORT YouTube channel. My name is Harry Durham. Let's go through the biggest footballing stories of the day with talkSPORT reporter Ben Jacobs. Ben, off the back of England's win against Albania, Jude Bellingham, right? He's out of the squad. People are giving him criticism. He's in the squad. People are giving him criticism. Are we seeing a sort of like him being a media scapegoat?
Well, I think we're seeing Thomas Tuchel put his own stamp on things. So Jude Bellingham, obviously, when he was out of the England squad, was recovering from a shoulder injury, then returns to the squad, and obviously against Albania plays, gets booked, gets taken off, doesn't like it. Thomas Tuchel's not afraid to say publicly that he was petulant. And scapegoating is sometimes when the media or fans gang up on a player and have a perception that is denied within a dressing room. But in this instance, Thomas Tuchel is speaking about Jude Bellingham. So if Bellingham is being scapegoated, and if that is his perspective, then he may well feel that it's the manager that's singling him out, that is taking him off. And it was obvious last night that England didn't play great. Jude Bellingham was frustrated. He got booked, he got taken off, and he didn't like it, even though there was only 6 minutes left in the game. England already qualified for the World Cup. And I think this shows you Thomas Tuchel is completely different to Gareth Southgate, who was a long-term project man. It was over multiple tournaments. He was trying to build something. It was youth-led. It was talent-led. It was star-led, even though Southgate, in fairness, wasn't afraid to throw some younger players, including Jude Bellingham, into the mix. But Thomas Tuchel is basically saying, I've got one tournament to make an impression and hopefully win it. And he's treating it like a one-off cup competition. And he's making sure that he doesn't just pick the best players for chemistry and form, but he keeps the dressing room united. And I think it will still be a surprise, of course, if Jude Bellingham doesn't go to the World Cup over the summer. But Tuchel isn't afraid to say to any star or any player of any age, you're not guaranteed selection within the squad or the starting 11. And I find that quite refreshing. And when Thomas Tuchel got the job, obviously people made superficially a lot about the fact that he's German, he's managing the English side, will he have the same affinity? But what we're seeing is Thomas Tuchel putting pressure on himself to just get a short-term result. Doesn't matter about 4 years' time. Doesn't matter about the home Euros at this point. And that's why Jordan Henderson has been back involved. So no player of any age or any stature or any number of England clubs is guaranteed anything under Thomas Tuchel. He's just got this tunnel vision of trying to win the 2026 World Cup. And let's see whether that approach is different to previous England managers and projects and pays off. Because, of course, if you don't take Jude Bellingham and don't win the World Cup, everyone's going to flip the narrative and say, of course he should have taken Jude Bellingham. If you take him and don't play him and start him and allow him to thrive in his favoured position, same argument. And similarly, if Thomas Tuchel makes a bold call and it pays off, he'll be billed as a genius. So all the pressure in many ways is actually on the England manager because he has to deliver this summer.
The futures of Kobbie Mainoo, I mean, this is something that's been mentioned for like quite a while. The summer transfer window is linked to many clubs. What does he need to do to get back into the England setup?
We'll play the short answer. And of course, there's a lot of competition in the centre of the park. And there's plenty of England players in Kobbie Mainoo's position that are versatile, that can play in a deeper lying position and burst forwards as well. So Kobbie Mainoo, I think, may go back to Manchester United, as he did in the final days of the summer window, and ask the same question. Am I going to get game time? Because his ideal preference would still be to stay at Manchester United and to thrive. Or do I need to go somewhere and get game time, likely temporary, with the World Cup in mind? And unfortunately for Kobbie Mainoo, Manchester United will show no loyalty to England in the same way they're not going to do the Netherlands a favour with Joshua Zirkzee either. And unless Manchester United found an opportunistic mid-season striker to come in Zirkzee's case, or unless they decide to buy an important midfielder mid-season, Kobbie Mainoo is likely to be in the same position as he was in the final days of last summer, which might be good for Manchester United and their squad depth, but bad for Kobbie Mainoo and England. So it's going to be a real challenge now for Kobbie Mainoo to get enough minutes to change Thomas Tuchel's mind. And if he stays at Manchester United, with Bruno Fernandes playing in a deeper role and Casemiro liked by Ruben Amorim and in form, there remains a realistic chance between now and the end of the season that Kobbie Mainoo, if he stays at Old Trafford, is just a squad player. And he will hope that if he plays more and more, he can gain more starts and games. But Manchester United don't have European football. They're out of the League Cup. So it's very difficult for Ruben Amorim to over-rotate. And as long as Manchester United stay unbeaten or in a richer vein of form, I think it's less likely that Ruben Amorim will start tinkering, having finally found a bit of a winning formula. So Kobbie Mainoo, I think, will be concerned that he could be out of the picture for the 2026 World Cup. But Manchester United, as Mainoo found in the final days of the summer window, when he asked to go out on loan, were not really in favour of that. It was kind of all or nothing. Someone makes an offer that's too good to turn down and Manchester United take pure profit, or Manchester United keep Kobbie Mainoo until at least the end of the season because they'll want that squad depth.
Is this the same sort of situation as Conor Gallagher at Atletico Madrid? I mean, 339 minutes played so far this season in La Liga, 2 starts, and that's across obviously 12 matches as well. Is he someone that might be looking for a loan move in January to try and, get Thomas Tuchel's attention so he is in that squad for North America?
Yeah, I think there's 2 key differences here. The first is Thomas Tuchel knows and likes Conor Gallagher because he, of course, was the Chelsea manager. And the second point is that Atletico Madrid are more open to some kind of solution for Conor Gallagher mid-season. So 2 and 2 doesn't always mean 4, especially in the transfer market. But could Manchester United, who tried for Conor Gallagher over the summer, test Atleti's resolve and see if there's a deal to be had? If Gallagher comes to Manchester United, that's a midfielder coming in. Does that also mean that Kobbie Mainoo can suddenly go out on loan? And I think certainly the Mainoo side may look at that domino effect and think there might be a scenario late in January where Manchester United soften their position. But right now, I think if a suitor asks for Kobbie Mainoo on loan, they'll simply be told no, and Mainoo will be told exactly the same thing as well. But let's see whether that changes if Manchester United brought in a midfielder. And Conor Gallagher is one of several options that they like. Over the summer, Manchester United tried to loan Conor Gallagher, and he was open to the move and coming back to the Premier League. And Atleti said, no, permanent sale, or they're going to keep the player. Now a few more months have passed, and as you say, Conor Gallagher's opportunities have mostly been from the bench. And Atleti may determine now that either the price drops slightly from 55 million euros in the summer for a permanent exit, possibly to 50 million euros or even a little bit south of that, or something in the middle ground, maybe a loan with an option to buy that could get Conor Gallagher playing, get him starting games as opposed to coming off the bench, and get him back in Thomas Tuchel's thinking. So with Kobbie Mainoo being young and not playing, even if he went out on loan somewhere, it could be a battle. Conor Gallagher is a player that Thomas Tuchel likes, and was he to move anywhere in England, it would be on the premise that he'd be joining a side that would be able to give him enough minutes. And in that scenario, compared to being on the bench at Atletico Madrid, there could be a way back for Conor Gallagher to make the 2026 World Cup squad. So it will all really depend on Atleti. Players open to coming back to England mid-season. Atleti said no to anything starting with a loan in the summer. If that position changes in January, there will be Premier League suitors. West Ham United could be one of them, and Manchester United could return as well.
Should we talk about the man of the moment, a man that could probably go to Temple Bar in Dublin, and for the next couple of years, they would just buy him endless drinks for what he's done over the last week? That's Troy Parrott. I mean, 5 goals in his last 2 games for the World Cup qualifiers, the 2 goals against Portugal and the hat-trick against Hungary. The scenes were absolutely unbelievable in Budapest. He's currently playing his football at AZ Alkmaar in the Eredivisie. What's his situation looking like? 'Cause he's not had a bad season at AZ so far. 6 starts, 6 goals in 7 matches as well. And there's obviously his former international level as well. Are there any Premier League clubs that are sort of keeping tabs on him at the moment?
Yeah, there are, and there was over the summer as well, but he felt very loyal to AZ, who he only joined in 2024, and along with the incredible heroics. And what a story. I mean, Ireland from nowhere beat Portugal, and the Ronaldo sending off and they keep a clean sheet. And then you're 2-1 down to Hungary, who only need a point to make the playoff. and he scores his second goal of his hat-trick on 80 minutes, and then a 90+6 winner away from home. Congratulations to Ireland. Brilliant story. It's why we all love football. And now they'll have that playoff with the chance to make the World Cup. And of course, if they do, Troy Parrott will be there, and he can really put himself in the shop window. I think he may not be inclined, from speaking to sources, to do anything mid-season. And at that point, Ireland will not know, because the playoffs are next year, exactly where they stand. So Parrott will be patient, I'm told. But that's not to say that Premier League clubs won't try something mid-season to test his perspective and the resolve of AZ. But if it isn't in January, I think Troy Parrott and a summer move is something that we're going to be speaking a lot about, because along with his heroics for Ireland and 5 goals for his country this calendar year in 7 games, he's got, as you rightly say, 6 league goals in 7 games. He's got 13 goals in 14 matches in all competitions. So he's 7 for 7 in Europe. And that's off the back of 20 goals in all competitions last season. And when he was at Excelsior, he scored 17. So you've now got 3 seasons in double figures, and this season might be his best season ever for club and country. So although it didn't work for him at Tottenham Hotspur, there are other Premier League clubs, I'm told. For January, the 2 that are looking at strikers are West Ham and Fulham. I'm told West Ham like the idea of a sort of big target man. It's why they're not averse to trying to test Manchester United's position on Joshua Zirkzee. So it's all quite quiet at the moment on the West Ham and Troy Parrott front, but Fulham have looked at him. And last summer, Leeds United really liked the player, but they chose to go in a different direction and ultimately bring in Dominic Calvert-Lewin on a free transfer. So I think Leeds and Fulham are the 2 more active Premier League clubs. And from Fulham's perspective, with Rodrigo Muniz out injured, they may choose to do something mid-season. And then, of course, if we flash forwards and Troy Parrott does a season with AZ and moves after the World Cup, and hopefully Ireland are there, he puts himself in the shop window potentially under that scenario, and I'm sure more will follow. So it's great to see him succeed, because when he was at Tottenham, I think he only made 4 senior appearances for the club between 2019 and 2024. During that period, he had a difficult loan at Millwall, where he didn't score a single goal. He went to Ipswich and was not really prolific. It was only really at MK Dons a few years ago that he started to get going, but that was obviously at League One level. And he's climbed all the way back up. He's gone to a top league. He's scored in Europe. He's been a hero for his country. And I can, in 2026, whether January or summer, see him going full circle and ending back in England and scoring in England at the highest level. And let's not forget that even though his CV suggests a lot of games and a lot of clubs and a lot of movement, he's still only 23 years of age as well.